Going to be introducing the new AudioOverseer extension that I've written. The way it works is you can use something like Syrinscape or a local player, and then click a button and that sound be triggered. Syrinscape has a couple other features that make it really nice, but local files can play through. In my example today, I'm going to be using VLC. I think there's a Mac version of that, and the way I use it is it'll trigger a single shot sound. You can also play music. The only thing is it's kind of weird to get the repeat stuff going through that, so not the best option. Maybe there's better, but for now that's what I'm using to play it locally with. So the first thing we're going to cover is this new button over here, and we are showing this in the AD&D rule set. This will function in I've tested it in the 5e rule set. It should work off of anything that is layered on the core RPG rule set. The button will look different over here, but it'll say audio. And you click on it, it'll bring up this window. In this case, you can see I've got a bunch of stuff already imported. I imported all my stuff from Syrinscape, and I will post a link to the page that I went to download all the links for that, so that you can also import them if you like. And I'll do an example here in a second. But for now, we're going to do a manual creation. Click the button down here, click the green one, and it'll bring up this record option here. And we can just stop test, whatever category you want to put it in. These are all for filters. Syrinscape has a lot of these, so I went ahead and kept them all so that you can filter them or set them up the same way that Syrinscape does. Makes it really easy, at least as far as for Syrinscape, if you want to search by one-shots or SFX. You know, if I wanted to just get things that were just fire and forget, these would be all the ones that were that. So you can do the same thing here. That's all these are. These are whatever you want to set them to. The only one that matters is path, and the path is to the sound that you're going to play. In the case of Syrinscape, the link looks a little weird, and I will paste one in here so that you can see what it looks like. This is one that we will also import here in a little bit, but that's a Syrinscape link. And when you're done, you lock it. Done. If you want to play it, test it, see what it sounds like, you click this. This is a sound link. You can also drag these sound links to use elsewhere. So yeah, that was a really long one. But what you can do with this link is you can drag and drop it in chat, and then you can click there. You can also have it in story entries. And I will give you some examples of this later, but you can click there or there, and these are other sound things that have been dragged over here and placed. And I'll show some examples with a better sound. This one's kind of crazy. But that's how you create a sound link. And that's the very basic piece of the AudioOverseer. You can see all these, have all this filled in, all that. You can click these. I don't want to click that because I don't know how long that's going to go. But let's see, we'll pick a subtype of a one-shot and find something I know that is really short. Oh, here's one that says no. We click it. No. There we go. No. And you can drag that over here, then click it here. Yep. And it, oh, well, now she says yep. How strange. So we've got that. There's two other links up here that you can see, triggers and collections. And we'll start with triggers. Triggers are things that most people will find very useful for combat, saves. You could trigger it off anything that's going to appear in the chat. For this to work, you need to make sure that you have the show GM rolls on, otherwise it won't work when the GM rolls. You also have a filter down here, like I've got combat. These are all the ones that are related to combat. These are general ones, just one. Saves, and then I have a test one as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, before we get too far, I'm going to show you how I link local sounds to VLC since I've only shown Syrinscape one. I have this one here. This is one that I created for a locally played sound. If you set, what you need to do is you got to set the default player for MP3 or whatever file you're playing. So like if it's a WAV file or something else, you need to set up the defaults for this. And I don't know how it works on a Mac, so I can't tell you. But on a PC, Windows, you just go in there and set the default open application to be whatever you know. In this case, I'm using VLC. You can use Windows Media Player or other things. But so what this will do, and you'll see it's got this file URL at the front, and then this is the piece that matters. It's the entire the path to that file. So on my D drive, it's in the sound directory under AD&D creature, and then the name of the file is all this Godzilla roar sound effects MP3. So once you have that in there, you can just click it and it plays. You can also drag and drop this wherever you want, and play it elsewhere if you want. So that's how you enter in local stuff, local files. I'm not going to go too much deeper into that. That's going to be really dependent on the client, but the functionality is there through Windows. I won't know if Linux or the Mac versions of FGU will support that yet. We'll have to see when that comes out. So audio triggers. We'll start with looking at this one. You can see the matches, the sounds, and random sounds. In this case, there's no random sounds. And the first thing listed here is critical hits. It's looking for this text. You can also see that I escaped out the brackets because those are special characters. The style of pattern matching is Lua for this, and I will link a tutorial that I found online that should explain how to use that as far as for pattern matching in general. Just so long as the text looks exactly the same as what you're searching for, you should be good, unless you have special characters, which are brackets, parentheses, dashes, periods, that kind of stuff, and you'll need to escape them out. In general, you can put % in front of that special character and it will no longer recognize it as a special character and see it as just a square bracket in this case. If you want to add additional matches, like in the case of this one, this is a ranged critical hit. I have 2, and the reason I do that is because I need to check and see what type of weapon. In this case, that's an R. That means it's ranged, and then it also got a critical hit. So it looks for both of these. Both of these have to match before the sound here will trigger. And you can also always test the sounds by clicking the links in all of these. You want to add another sound to it, we can go find something over here. In this case, we can just grab a one shot. So we'll bring over an anvil hit as well. And then that way, when crit hit and attack is a ranged weapon, both are found in the chat text, it'll fire off both of these. For sounds that are listed here, you can only have 2, and that's because there is an option to delay. So if you want to trigger one and then have a slight delay and then do the next one, you can. Try to avoid doing that because it causes strange behavior with chat, because I cannot do a non-blocking sound play. So what you have to do is keep them small. I wouldn't do more than like 0.1 or 0.2, 0.5 at most. The min and max on this is 0 to 5, but I would not do 5 because your chat will be sitting there paused for 5 seconds. But you can sit here and test each one of those by clicking these links, and you'll see them everywhere. So you can do that. All right, so we've had enough time playing with these. Down here also is a random sounds. What you can do is you can drop a whole bunch of sounds down here. And then what'll happen is when this triggers, it'll play these, and then it'll pick one of these and play it randomly. It'll pick out of these, so you can have as many of these as you want because it's only going to play one. It'll randomly pick one and play it. In this case, I don't want all that stuff playing whenever this goes off, so I'm going to remove these, but that's how they work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some example combat. so you can see what this sounds like. And again, this is under the 2E rule set. Your combat tracker here will look a little different, but this is just the way it looks in 2E. And as far as the functionality of the Audio Overseer, it'll work the same. So in this case, I've got Marindo. He's going to shoot at some orcs. Let's get to his initiative. It's last. So now we'll drag and drop this onto him. He missed. Let's see if we can get a hit going. Nope, that's going to be a crit miss. See, on that one, you can hear that there was also a miss sound plus a fumble sound. And you can see what it looks for is the miss dash, which is automatic miss. So I played that, Crockery Cataclysm, and play that. And then on the ranged miss, what was it? It played this also. So you got both of them at the same time. That's for fumbles. And let's try this again, see if we can get a hit. There we go. That's a hit with a ranged. We'll do an attack with a sword. That's a hit. That sounds different. Let's see if we can get a miss. Yep. And I'll fake a crit. So you can hear how it sounds on melee. Now see, so I did the hit, plus it did the ooh. So it's got two of those, and on the crit hit, you can see that here. This is the one where it came, that sound came from, and then the melee attack, sword attack, crit came from this one. So I played both of those. And then there is also the general one, which is for me, whenever it's a new round, I have it play that bell, so it looks for round and then any number and then a bracket. And I will show you the new round. This is the next round configuration I have. And you can see it looks for just the brackets, the round, and then it replaces the number with %D+. That means to look for anything with a that number, any length of numbers that are there. Again, you'll be able to see all this, these special configurations through the Lua tutorial. If you have questions on the forums, just ask. Most of this, once you get it set up, you'll never have to mess with it again. And I think, oh, there's also saves, so we can go to our guy's saves. Roll a save versus wands. He failed. And he failed again. Let's fake it out. Make it a 20 so he succeeds. You can hear that. There. So the save success is this. It looks for the save bracket, which is this text here, right before that number 20. And then it looks for success, which is this bit over here. You could do some other things, like if you wanted to, if they were making a save versus poison, whenever you drag and drop a poison onto somebody, it'll say save versus, like in this case, it says save versus wands. You could also do a search for wands, and then you could use a special sound for when they're saving versus wands and they fail, and when they save versus something when they fail. They could have a different sound depending on which ones. You can also, if you want, just dump a bunch of different types of successful save sounds down here in the random sounds. Get rid of the fanfare so that you can have just a variable sound for your saves if you like. And that covers, I believe, all of the triggers. Random sounds. And next we're going to go to collections. And for collections, we do not need map up. Click the collections link up here at the top. And I've only got two. This is something I just recently added today. You can see there's also a search filter. This is campsite sounds. And then this one is my town stuff. So I've got two of them set up right now. And it works much like these over here. You can drag and drop sounds into here. And I've already done that. And these are, what will happen with these is they are a collection of sounds that'll play at once. And typically these aren't single shots. These are mood, element, or music. And if you look over here in the filters from Syrinscape, you can see a lot of what I was talking about. Like these are some music ones with, this is a list of music ones. The element ones are over here, and the type, you can set it to that. And so it'll list all the elements. These are kind of persistent sounds. You also have mood sounds that you can use here. I've set these all up so that they have a decent sound. You can also test all these. This is the link that you would drag and drop to play it in a story link. You would click that and then it would play. And if you want, say in your adventure, you've got a dungeon, or say you're overland and you want to, you have a morning little thing that describes your morning, and you can just have this link right next to it and you click it before you start explaining what's going on. In this case, we'll test it so you can hear what I have it set up to do for morning at the campsite. You can hear the birds, you can hear the fire, you can hear the music in the background. It's really light, grassland sounds. And that'll keep playing as long as the configuration is set up for that URL through Syrinscape. And once we're done, you want to stop this stuff. One of the things that I didn't really go over was how to stop sounds. Depending on what you're using, could be Syrinscape. Syrinscape Online is probably different, which I don't have full support for yet, but I will. Syrinscape Online will be supported down the road probably. But for Syrinscape, the local player, what you have to do is find the silence linked sound that you imported or you created, and it's basically a link just to tell everything to stop playing. There's one that comes with the Pathfinder Glass Cannon podcast sound drop, and this one is supposed to be silence. You can click on that and see it stops the music. So what you can do is, this is what I did, is I just dragged and dropped that link down here, so I can just, whenever this is playing and when I'm done and I want to switch to something else or just stop it, you can go ahead and just click this down here so it'll shut up. And it fades out. It doesn't instantly get quiet. It takes a little bit sometimes. There we go. And then we'll hear the tavern one that I have set up here. Hear all the men talking, hear the music playing. There's some little, chairs sliding around, glasses clinking, all that kind of stuff that can play. Again, you can drag and drop links, put them wherever you want in your stories or whatever. And again, silence button. If you would like to create a collection, give it a name, test. We're going to put it in the category of test. We don't have any sounds here yet, so let's get some sounds. Let's click this and test so you can hear all three. And there you go. And then you can link that from here to wherever you want. Just keep in mind, you need to use this link if you want to play the sounds. This link will not do what you want. This is a link to this record. This is a link to these sounds. So if you want to play all these sounds, you'll put this where you want it to play, so that when they click on it, it plays. The other thing that you'll want to know is exporting. When you export now, this window will show these three things. Those will be the things you'll want to export if you want to pull it up in another campaign that you're working on. What I have is, I have a campaign that I do all my sound configs in, and then I export those and then load that module in all my other stuff, so that I can centrally manage all my stuff and then export it to another. Let's show you how to import some records. In this case, let me close these up. You can select down here, and there is this import, text import to audio button, and it'll bring up this. And you can see up here it tells you each, it says one sound per line, with each formatted as follows. It wants status, subcategory, pack, sound set, name, type, subtype, and the play URL. And then once you've got it formatted like this, it needs to be comma between each one of them. You'll paste them in. Let's stretch this out so you can see how it's supposed to look. It was all one line. So see, you can see there's only 3 entries there. And then we'll click import. And you can see it imported the 3 here. And then you can play them. Let's see if we can find it with the Wicked Gal. So you can see I already had it once because I imported it myself earlier. But click it, play it. And there you go. And that's how you would import them. So the reason that I created this is to replace the extension that most people used that was recently pulled from the forums. This one is going to be a GNU license of some sort. I'm not exactly sure what type, but the gist of it will be that if I get run over by a bus, somebody can come in and keep working on it, and there won't be a licensing issue. That's mainly so the community can have some sort of sound thing and not lose it in the future.